My name is Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. I'm a nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I specialize in using nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs. That's because I look at the human body as a healing system that is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. It doesn't need drugs, it doesn't want drugs, it doesn't like drugs, and there's not a single drug on planet Earth that can help us access that built-in healing, regenerating system. That is the job of nutrition. That is the job of nutritional supplementation. That's why I call myself a nutritional pharmacist. If you're not feeling as well as you like, or if you're not feeling as well as you should, please understand you have options. That's really what this is all about. It's about options. Options to drugs, options to surgical procedures, options to doctors, options to pharmacists, options to the pharmaco-medical model that presupposes that because our demise is inevitable, that so is our degeneration. And I'm here to tell you, my friends, our degeneration is not inevitable. Our degeneration is not inevitable. In fact, our degeneration is optional. We have to choose to degenerate. We have to choose to degenerate by eating the corporate swill. We have to choose to degenerate by not using a nutritional supplement program. We choose to degenerate by accepting this pharmaco-medical model that drugs us and cuts us up and radiates us every time we have some kind of physical complaint. Yes, it's true. The body's always going to be breaking down. That's inevitable. But it's also true that the body's always building up. Long-term chronic sickness, long-term chronic degenerative disease is really the manifestation of a breakdown process that is superseding the build-up process. When we're young, we're vital, when we're healthy, it's the opposite. Build-up is exceeding breakdown. When we're old, when we're sick, when we're degenerating, the breakdown process is exceeding the build-up process. So if we're not as healthy as we'd like to be, all we got to do is reverse the equation. The body can turn on a dime, but we got to turn on a dime. We've got to reverse the equation from net breakdown to net build-up, and that, my friends, is not difficult. First of all, it means not doing anything that enhances the breakdown, the degenerative process. Most importantly, that means food. And I don't mean to be a food Nazi here, and I'm certainly no angel when it comes to making food choices. But if we have an autoimmune disease, if we have heart disease, if we have hypertension, if we have diabetes or a digestive health issue, especially a digestive health issue, remember, we're talking options now. If we have any of these problems, one of the most important options is for us to be careful of, to pay attention to the kind of foods we're eating, to stay away from what I call the corporate swill. Secondly, we got to patch up the digestive system, and that means eating less calories. That means eating less food, and it means using nutrients and using nutritional supplements that can speed the healing of the digestive lining. One of my all-time favorite longevity products, the Fucoidan Z and the Z Radical. These are liquid in capsules. The Z Radical is a liquid. The Fucoidan Z is a capsule that contains something called fucoidan, which contains itself a sugar called fucose, which is unbelievably helpful for helping the digestive tract regenerate, for helping the cells that line the digestive tract regenerate. The Biolumin Nightly Essence, another spectacularly important product, another awesomely helpful product when it comes for helping improve digestive symptomology. In fact, in my opinion, the Biolumin Nightly Essence is a must-have nutritional supplement for all of us, even if we're feeling healthy, even if we're feeling strong, even if we don't have any symptoms. But certainly, if you have any health challenges, any health issues, especially digestive issues, you want to be using 3 capsules of the Biolumin Nightly Essence twice a day, in my opinion. And in my opinion also, you want to take the Biolumin Nightly Essence on an empty stomach. Ultimate Enzymes, another incredibly helpful, incredibly important, and incredibly powerful nutritional supplement. The Ultimate Enzymes are great with all your meals, but your Ultimate Enzymes are also a very effective anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving process if you take them on an empty stomach. Did you know the glucogel caps can have beneficial effects for improving the strength of the digestive tract? Of course, laying off problem foods is always advisable. Foods that cause digestive distress, foods that cause heartburn or gas or bloating, diarrhea, constipation, etc. If you're trying to correct long-term chronic digestive health issues, or really any kind of long-term health issues, sugar is always the enemy. Sugar is always the enemy. No matter what your health condition is, even if you're healthy, sugar is always the enemy. And weaning ourselves off of sweet foods, even weaning ourselves off of foods that taste sweet or that are made sweet with artificial sweeteners, is one of the fastest ways to turn around any health condition. And while you're at it, using sugar processing nutrients can be helpful too. I absolutely love the Sweeties product, another one of my favorite longevity products. It's chromium, it's vanadium, it's cinnamon, and it can help lower your blood sugar pretty darn quickly. If you're one of those folks that has a blood sugar spike first thing in the morning, try taking a little Sweeties before you go to bed. Try taking a little Sweeties after all meals, not just sugary meals, but certainly after bready kinds of meals, starchy meals, sweets, desserts. Take a couple of Sweeties, chromium, vanadium, and cinnamon, and the fucoid Z. And the Z radical also have important sugar metabolizing and anti-diabetic properties. And of course, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and now Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 and soon Beyond Tangy Tangerine 3.0 are loaded with B vitamins, especially niacin and thiamine, both of which are super important for blood sugar control. So what's the bottom line here, you guys? We have options to the pharmacomedical model of poisoning and drugging and radiating. And that's what we're all about at Longevity, and that's what this program is all about as well. Our number is 831-685-1080. If you've got questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, priority line, toll-free, 888-379-2552. I'm Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Dr. Wallach today. We're coming back with more good health information on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie radio program right after this. Don't go away. I'll be sitting in for the next 43 minutes or so with my good friend and colleague, Douglas Winfrey. What's up, Doug? Good to talk to you.
Great to have you on. And once again, I've got one here that as soon as I saw the headline of this story, I thought immediately of you. And this, the beginning of this story specifically talks about a specific individual who decided to start eating healthy. And the headline of this CNN story is Orthorexia, when
I love that.
Healthy eating becomes an obsession. They say 3 years ago, this woman had chronic abdominal pain, digestive problems, and she was depressed and sluggish, so she started researching clean eating and hoping that it might make her feel better. So she saw that a lot of people were intolerant to dairy, so she cut milk and cheese from her diet, and that relieved her heartburn. And it says, but it didn't stop there. Convinced she could detox her body even more, she researched different food groups, and within a year she eliminated gluten, grains, meat, starchy vegetables, and most fruits. And it says, does intermittent fasting really work? And says, well, what started out as a genuine interest to become healthier quickly developed into an obsession. She said, I had extreme anxiety every time I ate because I was acutely aware of how every ingredient made my body feel. And eating out, it said, was torture because she couldn't control how the food was prepared. Where was it organic? Were the spices organic? Was the chicken raised in cages? Was sugar added to the sauce? Was it really gluten-free? And her quest for food purity so consumed her that she consumed so few calories, she dropped to 92 pounds. And about a year later, she saw a picture of herself from Christmas and saw her collarbone jutting out, called her sister and said, I think I have an eating disorder. They go on to say, if you follow a certain style of eating, like vegan, raw, or organic, it takes diligence and dedication to stick to it. Yet mental health experts are increasingly worried about people who take healthy eating to an extreme. They say there's now a name for people addicted to all things healthy. It's called orthorexia nervosa, fueled by desire to for clean and healthy foods. A condition is understudied and no one knows how widespread it is.
I came up with a disease I call diagnosis nervosa, which is marked by mental health professionals making up diseases when there isn't one. That's called diagnosis nervosa. What the heck? You want to eat good, so that's a disease? Now, clearly anything you obsess about is a problem. An obsession is never good, Douglas, but how can healthy eating or being concerned about healthy eating ever be considered a problem as long as you're not doing the obsessive thing? The problem's the obsession. It's not the healthy eating. Obsession's not
actually,
good.
Dr. Wallach, when it comes to taking your nutrients, he says you need to be obsessed.
That's right. That's right. If you're going to be obsessed about anything, be obsessed about your health or be obsessed about nutritional supplementation. I concur. But you know what? We don't want to freak out about anything, but it's not really fair to say that because somebody's concerned about their health that they're somehow they can be diagnosed as having a disease. By the way, how do you treat orthorexia nervosa, do you suppose, Douglas?
I say
drugs.
A daily diet of McDonald's or Burger King or
Prozac.
some other fast food.
They'll give you a drug. They'll give you a drug.
Probably, yeah.
Yes. You know what the DSM is? Have you guys talked about the DSM yet? The Diagnostic Statistics Manual? DSM-4,
No.
DSM-5. This is a book that psychiatrists use to determine whether you're sick or not, or whether your problem is diagnosable or billable, or you can bill your insurance company or be medicated for it. And every 4 or 5 years, all these psychiatrists get together. They sit around a table or some conference room, and they decide what's going to be considered a disease for the next 4 or 5 years. And this is where you get diagnoses like internet shopping disorder, or bipolar disorder, now that's a disease, or attention deficit disorder. All these diseases that pop up periodically, these mental health problems that pop up periodically every few years, they pop up because a bunch of psychiatrists decided that they're going to be considered billable to your insurance company and medicatable by a prescription drug. There's one I love. My favorite one is called resistance defiance disorder. I'll tell you what that is when we come back from our break, because you may have that one, Douglas.
I believe I do.
I'm
Maybe you can cure me.
I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. You're listening to Dead Doctors Don't Lie on the ZBS Radio Network. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Douglas, I diagnose you with ODD. I've always thought you had ODD.
Obsessive Doug disorder?
No, oppositional defiant disorder.
Oh, I've had that since I was a kid.
Exactly, me too. But now, lucky you, your insurance company can be billed. You can have wonderful psychiatric treatment for it. You can get yourself on drugs, Adderall or Ritalin or whatever drugs they give you these days for psychiatric disorders. The point is that these are made-up diseases. Internet shopping disorder and oppositional defiant disorder. When I was a kid growing up, do you remember
I have longevity product disorder.
Because you're just
I diligently take it every day, yeah.
Do you remember was there anybody who had ADD when you were growing up? Do you remember that? I don't remember that.
I'd never even heard the term till probably like in the 80s. And in the late 70s and the early 80s, I was in college. And for at least about a year, I was actually working towards a psychology degree. And I don't recall there being ADD or ADHD then. I think that's only come into being in the last few years. Well, about 25 years ago or so, they came up with a bunch of psychiatrists, sat around and with the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual. That's what they call this book. This is a book of diagnoses, of psychiatric diagnoses, and psychiatrists every few years will get together in a meeting, and they'll decide what kind of new diseases there are, new mental health issues there are that they can add to their DSM book of diagnoses that you can now be billed for, or your insurance company can be billed for, and you can be medicated for. And that's where ADD came from, and that's where bipolar disorder came from. There wasn't any bipolar disorder when I was growing up either. And so we periodically, every 4, 5, 10 years or so, we'll have these a new stack of diseases and diagnoses. And these are just more ways that we can be considered sick. Now you have PTSD. That's another one, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's all of these crazy acronym psychiatric diseases that are just more reasons for us to interface with the medical model, more reasons for us to interface with pharmacists and with drugs, and more reasons for us to have medical insurance. And it's just not fair. If you are not feeling as well as you should, mentally, physically, psychiatrically, there's a heck of a lot of options that you have that don't involve the self-aggrandizing, self-congratulating medical model that is so proud of itself. The fact of the matter is we got more doctors and more diagnoses than we've ever had in the history of man, and we're the sickest culture in the history of humanity. And I say those two facts are connected. Listen, if you're not feeling as good as you should, or would, or want to be, if you're not as healthy as you want to be, you have nutritional options. And that's really, as I said at the beginning of the program, what this is all about. It's about options. Nutritional options, lifestyle options, eating options. By all means, whatever you're dealing with, you need a nutritional supplement program. Everybody needs a nutritional supplement program, and it just isn't possible to get the mighty 90 essential nutrients, which are essential, meaning you better have them or you're going to die. It's not possible to get these nutrients from foods. You got to get on a supplement program. Now, that's not to say that you don't want to make sure that you're eating correctly, and that's not to say that you don't want to make sure that you're not eating what I call the corporate swill, the fast foods, the McDonald's and the Kentucky Fried Chicken and all the foods we're encouraged to eat. And that's not to say the fact that we don't need the medical model and that we have options. All of this is also to point out that we got to be exercising, and we got to be thinking correct thoughts, and we got to be feeling correct feelings, and we got to have a spiritual dimension that's active in our lives as well. Bottom line is, we have options to the pharmaco-medical model of drugs and surgery and radiation. And that's what this program is all about, and that's what I'm all about, and that's what Dr. Wallach is all about as well.
If you got questions about health and nutrition or prescription drugs, we're here for you. Let us help you change your life today. 831-685-1080 is your priority line number. 888-379-2552, toll free. We do have a line or two open for you. We'd love to hear from you. We're coming back right after this with your phone calls. Don't go away. Time to hit the phones. Let's see who's first on the line, Douglas.
All right, let's head to Dallas, Texas. And Leon, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Leon? What's the good word?
Well, I'll tell you, Pharmacist Ben, it's always a privilege and a pleasure to talk with you.
Is this my buddy Leon? Is this my buddy Leon?
Yes,
Leon L. Hey, what's up,
Leon L. That's me.
Good to see you, Leon. Good to talk to you, Leon. What's going on, man?
Well, I have a friend named Sammy, and he's a former Olympic weightlifter.
Okay.
And he's dealing with issues with the bones and joints, particularly one knee.
Okay. How old is he?
He's probably early mid-60s.
Okay.
And he was in the '76 Olympics, and he just started taking shots in the knees, and I kind of winced when he told me that.
I'm sure. Is he doing any longevity or anything?
He is not. He also has high blood pressure, and he began recently taking meds for it.
Okay, well, he's breaking down, and the thing about the meds is they're going to just accelerate his breakdown. That's the problem with medication. One of the problems with medications is they accelerate our breakdown. You know, we always talk about the side effects associated with medication, but we don't talk about just the basic effects of having the body having to deal with processing and detoxifying the poison. Every drug we take is going to have a specific profile, side effect profile, that are somewhat specific to that drug, but there's generic side effects that just involve the body having to deal with the poison. Aside from the specifics of the antihypertensive he's taking, just the fact that he's on a medication is going to shut down his body's or suppress his body's ability to heal and recover. So what do? Well, first of all, the fact that he's got high blood pressure tells me there's some kind of distress going on in the body, and this is so important. We got 80 million Americans who are dealing with hypertension, and most of that is something called essential hypertension, which is a doctor talk for saying we don't know what's causing it. It's just part of the deal, part of being alive. Essential hypertension is just part of being a human being, according to the medical model. Well, the fact of the matter is, if you have hypertension, you got an emergency. Hypertension, high blood pressure, is one of the ways the body deals with stress or deals with emergency, what it considers to be emergency. Now, if he doesn't have a lion breathing down his neck, he's not running from a saber-toothed tiger, or he doesn't have some pressing emergency, chances are the emergency that the body perceives is some kind of chronic long-term assault. And it could be many things. The fact that he's not building and he's not regenerating bone, he's not regenerating muscle or connective tissue, he's got inflammation in his knee, that's so significant that they got to give shots, tells me that the emergency is now causing the body's healing and recovery abilities to be suppressed. So in addition to having hypertension, which is a sign of emergency, now he's also got a suppression of the buildup or suppression of the recovery process. So it's kind of tumbling out of control. And the drugs aren't going to help. They're just going to make things worse. They're going to make the emergency worse. This is the problem, you guys. When you take prescription medicine, when you use your doctor remedies, when you interface with the medical model, now you put an extra burden on an already stressed out body. So what do? Well, first of all, the most important thing you could do for somebody who's got hypertension, for somebody whose body is breaking down as significantly as it sounds like your friend is you got to remove the burdens on the body, the stressors on the body. I'm not talking emotional stress. Yes, that's true. That has to be handled. I'm not talking mental stresses. Yes, it's true. Those need to be handled. And I'm not talking spiritual distress, although that needs to be addressed too. I'm talking flat out basic physiologic stress. So what are those physiologic stresses? Hang on, Leon. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number. We do have a couple lines open for you. Or 888-379-2552 toll free. We'll take a break, come back and finish up with Leon and take your phone calls as well. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. We're in Texas talking to Leon L., about his weightlifting buddy. What's up, Leon? You there?
Yes, I am, Ben. Thanks so much. Is this going to be archived, I hope?
Yes, it's archived because I'm going to give you a ton of info. I know I give you guys lots of info, and that's just how I like to operate. But there's always the archives, and you can always go back and get them. I'd rather give you too much info, Leo, than less. I'd rather give you more info than less info. So here's the deal. When you have high blood pressure, you have an emergency response. The fact that he is now, he's not healing correctly, he's got inflammation, that tells me that the emergency response is now starting to tumble out of control, and it's affecting the healing and rebuilding process. So we got to take care of the emergency response. Now, I'll tell you about the glucogel caps and protein and essential fats here in a minute, because those are also important. But most importantly is we got to remove the emergency, the stressor, whatever's burdening the body. Now, before we went to break, I was saying spiritual, mental, emotional. Those are always aspects that need to be controlled, but I'm not going to go into that right now. I want to talk about physiologic stresses. The three major physiologic stresses in the body. This is true for everybody out there listening who's dealing with a chronic degenerative disease or dealing with some manifestation of the emergency response, which is what high blood pressure is. You got to address these three key points of emergency. Number one, digestive emergency. Number two, blood sugar emergency. And number three, oxygen emergency. Starting with oxygen, because that's the easiest to rectify, sit down on the couch or have your friends sit down on the couch and start practicing deep breathing techniques. That alone will lower blood pressure just as significantly or more significantly than any prescription drug will, with no side effects and no toxicity. So practicing slow, deep breathing, do not marginalize or be dismissive of the power of oxygen for healing. It's unbelievable. In fact, a case could be made that most degenerative disease involves some aspect of hypoxia, which is fancy medical talk for low blood oxygen. Sitting on the couch and slowly deep breathing. Always want to exhale a little bit more than you want to inhale. Better to give than receive, as they say. And also, you want to make sure you're doing your breathing slowly and through the nose. In through the nose and out through the nose, and slowly. If you don't breathe slowly, your body will think that there's an emergency. So you got to make sure you're breathing slowly, like a baby breathes. Just watch a baby breathe sometime. Slowly and deeply in through the nose and out through the nose. The second source of emergency is blood sugar. Elevated blood sugar is a disaster for the body. Elevated blood sugar is just as much as an emergency as any other poison would be, and that's why I consider sugar to be a poison after a certain amount, which is absolutely necessary. After that small amount, which is very small, that needs to be in the blood, all the rest is considered toxin. So keeping your intake or his intake of blood sugar, spiking foods, bread, pasta, potatoes, etc., is very important. Hidden sources of sugar, ketchup is a hidden source of sugar, for example. Pretty much in everything, but keeping your intake of these kinds of food down. If you're a sugar junkie, and many of us are, try to eat more protein, get on the Slender FX, and more fat. Make sure you're using your Ultimate EFAs. The Sweeties is also very important for helping stabilize blood sugar, and so is the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And not coincidentally, both the Sweeties and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine have nutrients that will lower blood sugar or lower blood pressure themselves. And then the third source of distress is going to be digestive distress, eliminating problem foods, and making sure you're using all the nutrients that are important for the digestive system, the ultimate enzymes, the fucoidan Z, or the Z radical, and then the Biolumin Nightly Essence. And check out the Jordan Rubin's probiotic products, the Omicide and the Swear V. I think I was talking to your wife, and she was telling me that she did a Swear V fast. I think that was your wife. Maybe I'm wrong, but she did a Swear V fast. And if you guys aren't hip to the Swear V fast, check it out. It's awesome. It's a 3-day fast where you just use Jordan's Swear V product, 6 bottles a day, a bottle every half hour. Half a bottle every hour. And it is absolutely amazing what that will do for lowering blood pressure, for giving you more energy, for pretty much helping all degenerative and inflammatory diseases. And, of course, the Healthy Start Pack, which is your Beyond OsteoFX, your Ultimate EFAs, and your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Those are the bottom line must-have nutritional supplements. If you want to throw one last thing in, use the glucogel caps. And for your friend's knee, understand, please, Leon, that the ultimate enzymes are wonderfully anti-inflammatory in addition to being great for helping you digest your food. So taking 2 or 3 in the middle of the day can help with knee inflammation. And I hope that works out for you. Thanks for your call, Leon. It's good to talk to you, my man. All right, who's next? Douglas.
Let's head to Ohio. And Sally, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Sally? How you doing?
I'm doing great now that I'm talking to you.
Oh, praise God. That's so sweet. Thank you so much for saying that.
Yes, I wanted to ask, similar to the caller before, about bones and joints.
Okay.
My hip bone and my knees, I've been on the longevity supplements for 10 months, and I was really in a bad way when I first got on. I've got improved so much more, but my knee joints and my hip bone are giving me pain, and they're cracking.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. By the way, if you, I do a weekly phone call with my friend Dixie Sedgwick. We do a weekly phone call. We cover various topics. I'm trying to find. I'll get you the phone number before we go off air today. And we covered degenerative joint disease on our not last phone call, but 2 weeks ago. And you might want to look into getting the archive of that because we talked about a lot of good stuff for degenerative joint disease, which it sounds like you're dealing with. So you're on the right track. Good for you. Stay on the Healthy Start Pack. But the second, pretty much like we were just talking to Leon, you want to remove the sources of emergency to the body. Now, keep in mind, you may not know there's an emergency because sometimes we just get used to things, but that doesn't mean that your body's not responding to whatever's happening as if it was an emergency. And one of the ways the body responds to emergency is by shutting down healing. Now, why would that be? Why do you suppose the body would shut down healing when it perceives an emergency? Well, the healing process is more long-term. The healing process isn't necessary when you're running from a tiger or when you're starving to death, which are basically the two most important emergencies. So the body will shut down healing and it will shut down repair in an effort to deal with stress. And that's why it's so important that we reduce or even eliminate the stressors on the body. Now, I'm not talking psychological stress here, or spiritual or mental or emotional. I'm talking physiologic stress. So first thing for long-term chronic degenerative diseases of all kinds, including joint disease and bone disease, which it sounds like you're dealing with, is you're going to need to remove stressors. I'm not going to go into that because we just talked about that with Leon, but basically, the sugar stress, the digestive stress, and the oxygen stress. So make sure you're deep breathing, eliminating problem foods, and staying off of anything that spikes your blood sugar, and then using the appropriate nutrients. However, specifically for bones, there's lots and joint repair, there's lots you could do. I meant to tell Leon about the CM cream and the CM capsules. I forgot to mention that. Both of those are wonderful for pain and inflammation, and you may want to consider using both. The CM capsules, that stands for cetyl myristoyl, which is a very interesting kind of fat that's important for helping rebuild joints. And the CM cream can also be very effective for pain. So using both of those may help you. Same with the glucogel caps. However, there's some more fundamental and basic nutrients. The glucogel caps and the CM cream and capsules are important, but they're not the essential Mighty 90 nutrients. However, the essential Mighty 90 nutrients can go a long way towards helping you, my dear, especially the ultimate EFAs. And if I were you, I'd be doubling up on those. Instead of 9 a day, take 18 a day. That's 6 3 times a day instead of 3 times a day. That's what I would be doing. And then also, I'd be making sure that I was sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine all day long. And I'd also be making sure that I was using the Beyond OsteoFX. Beyond OsteoFX, by the way, will help you sleep at night. So if you take a little bit before you go to bed, it can have a nice relaxing effect. So using those three, in addition to the CM cream, CM capsules, and then the glucogel caps, and also the ultimate enzymes, not only to help you with digestion, but also to help you with pain, in addition to using psychological, mental, emotional, and even spiritual strategies to help reduce stress and calm the body down. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate it. And let's see if we can squeeze one more in. Well, I guess we can't squeeze one more in. If you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get you when we come back from our commercial break. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number, 888-379-2552, toll-free. I'm Pharmacist Ben, along with Doug Winfrey, sitting in for Dr. Wallach today. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. We're going to take a break and come back with more of your phone calls. Don't go away. All right, we're back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. Who's next on the line, Douglas?
All right, let's head to Dallas, Texas. And Betty, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Greetings, Betty. What's going on?
Well, I just had some questions. I've been on the program. I've been taking the vitamins and minerals since March.
Okay. What are you noticing?
That's about 6 months or more.
What are you noticing?
So I'm noticing a lot of stomach growling and bubbling.
Oh, you're not absorbing. It doesn't sound like you're absorbing. And that's somewhat common, actually. With when you start to use the Healthy Start Pack and the other nutrients, you're getting a big dose of nutrition, a big dose of nutrients that your body may not be used to getting. And so what you want to do when you start the program, especially if you're noticing growling, or sometimes people will notice diarrhea or little loose stools or just discomfort, you want to start to use smaller doses, especially of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which is absolutely packed with nutrients. It's super dense with nutrition. So you want to sip on it very slowly. If you're doing your Beyond Tangy Tangerine all at once and you're not absorbing it, not only are you're going to run into problems with discomfort, but you're going to lose the nutrients. You're not going to get the benefit of the nutrients. So you want to treat digestive symptomology that's associated with supplementation as a sign of malabsorption. This is not uncommon. It's more common than not, I would say, especially as we get older, and use smaller doses. Okay, that's the first thing that you want to do. Now, the second thing, if you're noticing that you have digestive issues in general, you may want to throw in the BioLumin Nightly Essence if you're not already doing that. That's a must-have, in my opinion. That's a must-have nutritional supplement, but especially important if you're dealing with digestive issues. Same with the Fucoid Z and perhaps even the Ultimate Enzymes after meals. That'll take care of that should take care of the digestive issues, but you didn't call for that. I'm sure you have something else you want to talk about, or is that why you called?
But you said take the BioLumin what?
It's called BioLumin, and I'll spell that for you, BioLumin, BioLumin, and then that's the name of the company. And then the product is called the Nightly Essence, and you don't need to take it at night. They call it the Nightly Essence, but you can take it in the morning. In fact, I recommend people take it twice a day, 3 in the morning, 3 at night. And that'll help you with all digestive health issues, all of them. Now, if you have, you're not absorbing your nutrients, you still want to make sure you take your smaller doses of the nutrients. Don't try to do the Beyond Tangy Tangerine all at once. That's my opinion. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start their program, is they try to do their 2 scoops all at once, and that's a bunch of nutrition to try to get in your system. Even if you don't have digestive distress from that, you probably aren't going to be able to maximize all of the nutrient or leverage your absorption of all of those nutrients. So try to do smaller doses. Anything else? I want to try and squeeze one more call in, Betty. Is there anything else that you have?
Beg your pardon?
I said, is there any other questions? I want to try and get one more call in.
Well, I'm not okay. That's fine, and I thank you.
Okay. Nothing else you want to know? Nothing else you want to ask?
Well, I didn't get mine answered, but you're talking about helping somebody else.
No, don't run away, Betty. What's going on? How can I help you?
Well, I just didn't understand, and I'm 80 years old. That's why it takes me longer to hear what you're saying. You're talking fast, and it still isn't helping me.
Okay, well, let's help you, okay? So, and by the way, we only have about a minute, so I might have to get you to send me an email. Can you take down an email address, Betty?
Yeah, I'll take it down. I don't have a computer.
Okay, well, I'm going to try and help you as best as I can in a minute. I want you to take smaller doses, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Smaller doses?
Is the tangerine the only one that
all of them. All of them. Instead of doing them all at once, do them in divided doses, okay?
Like I'm taking 2 tablets, I will take 1.
Twice a day, though. Take the 2 tablets a day, but just divide the doses up. So you're dividing them up into several times a day.
But is that conflicting with all of this other medication I'm still taking?
It'll make your medicine work better. Nutrients will make your medication work better. Nutrients will help you with your medicine. If you're on medicine, and that's not just true for Betty, anybody listening, if you're on medication, nutrients will make your medication work better. And Betty, you know what, my dear? We're just flat out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my email address. And if you get somebody else to help you, maybe send me a letter, an email with your phone number, and I'll help you personally. It's ben@ksco.com. Ben at K for King, S for Sam, C for Cat, O for Oscar. Thanks for your call, Betty. And didn't mean to overload you with information, but there's just so much good stuff to talk about. You guys, nobody has to suffer with a degenerative disease. That's the bottom line. I'm Pharmacist Ben for Doc Wallach, for Doug Winfrey, for all the folks at the ZBS Radio Network. Have yourselves a spectacular, wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.